Welcome back to D16 tonight. Our guests this week are Republican Ben Servino, Republican AJ Balajadia, and incumbent Democrat Tina Rose Munya-Barnes. If you've got a question, feel free to post it on our Facebook live stream. And remember, please post your sentiments in real time. So if you like the responses to the questions, make sure to share the emoji. Give them a thumbs up, give them a smiley face. And it truly was, they're truly in the hot seat because we had to take a water break over the commercial break. The next question is from a viewer at home who asked, Yoichi K. Rengo asked, are you in support of Governor Calvo's action by deporting Micronesians who are incarcerated? And I think Yoichi means to say commuted prison sentences. So
yes.
If you could go first, Ms. Tina.
Yes. Crystal, there is a difference between commuting and deportation deportation is a federal program, and commuting is by the Organic Act, the authority for the governor to work with that. For me, if we could save any of those monies from having to spend it at the Department of Corrections, taking that money that could be freed up and giving it to the Department of Education or Department of Public Health or the hospital, then yes, I want to look at that. But the governor is within his authority to commute, and I know that the federal government has stepped up to the plate and has worked on with the deportations as recommended by the governor.
Okay, AJ?
I also support the governor as far as him being able to commute sentences. I believe that his action has caused the federal government to step up and do their part. They're still falling short, but we still are holding them accountable, and we will continue to hold them accountable, the federal government. That being said, I don't believe that we're deporting anyone. It's the federal government's job to do so. It's their agreement with the compact. And so that being said, I think that we should be able to take that savings and put it back into our community where we need it.
Okay, Mr. Servino, who's probably going to agree.
I totally agree with my colleagues. And, you know, the governor has every right to do this. And, you know, we got to have these individuals be held accountable. You know, if you violate our laws, you're going to be treated like everybody else, you know. And the governor has that right to ensure the public safety is addressed. So I fully support his decisions.
Okay, and this next question is, we've seen it all around the island. Illegal dumping. What needs to be done to stop this? Mr. Servino, may you go first?
Oh my, that's something that's dear to my heart, you know, and it's really sad that people are out there just dumping in private property. They've dumped it in our property, and that's what really bothers me about it. But, you know, we have to look at, as a human services individual and professional, we have to look at why, you know, they behave this way. And our government really needs to address that. And, you know, even the transfer station in Dededo, there's no opportunity to drop off our trash over there. So people don't want to travel all the way to Orlando, all the way down to Harmon. So you need to provide more facilities to allow them to dump their trash.
Okay. AJ?
Well, you know, we do need to be able to provide more places for our people to be able to go and dump their, not only their green waste, but also their appliances and what have you. And if we don't provide them that, they're going to end up throwing it into the jungle, and then we're going to have to deal with that. But that being said, we also need, as a government, to hold some of the vendors accountable when it comes to their trash and how they collect their trash. Just this past weekend, you know, you go to the flea market and you see how busy it is, and then when they all leave, there's still trash there. And if we can't even clean up our own backyard, how can we expect people to continue to follow the laws in regards to trash?
And Tina?
Crystal, I want to say there are laws in place. And I want to say that fines have been stiffened, even but recommendations from our children who believe that illegal dumping is not a good thing. But I want to tell you, I was the author of the municipal recycling bill. I was also the author of the beverage container bill. And those two legislations have been passed into law, signed by the government, but not full implementation has been there. If afforded the opportunity, I will ask the administration to please work with me on full implementation, literally taking trash and turning it into a commodity and adding, you know, beverage containers would be given 5 cents to every container that they recycle. So it's about recycling, reducing, and reusing. And that's what we need to bring the awareness out on.
Beautifully said. Our next question is viewers submitted, and you've all probably heard this name. She's a great advocate for medicinal marijuana. And Andrea Pellicani, are you for or against the full legalization of cannabis for personal and therapeutic use, and why? AJ, may you go first?
32 years as a police officer. It would be a contradiction to who I am as a person and who I have been as a law enforcement officer to support full legalization of marijuana. That I do not. I do support medicinal use. I'm 100% in support of that, but recreational, absolutely. I am not in support of that.
Tina?
Crystal is the author of medicinal cannabis and affording that for our patients who are truly suffering from debilitating health issues. Again, I know that it would be up to the people to decide whether they would want to use it or not. We did a three-prong approach when we started this journey, full decriminalization, recreational and medicinal, and the people were not happy with the other two. They wanted to make sure that affording that alternative for patients who are really suffering, that medicinal cannabis would be a good way to start. But until those changes are made, we will work with the will of the people.
And Mr. Servino?
Again, medicinal cannabis is something that needs to be utilized by especially a lot of people with disabilities with post-traumatic stress disorder, all types of behavioral issues that they deal with in the day-to-day life. I fully support it. Again, recreational, I really don't look at that as something that's really a priority. I think it's, you know, just like everything else, a decision people have to make, but we need to look at the regulations that have been set up and comply with it, you know. And I'm more towards the treatment of medicinal marijuana.
Okay, again, all in agreement.
Oh, did we all agree?
Yes.
This question is viewer submitted, Facebook Live. Mark Duenas asks, how do you feel about career politicians? Same senators, same reoccurring issues, hospital, public safety, and education. So how do you feel about career politicians? Should we go with the incumbent first?
You know, Crystal, every 2 years the people of Guam give us a report card. And that report card is whether they want us to continue to be their public servant, to do the needs and the desires of the community. I say, leave it up to the community to decide whether they want us in or out every 2 years. And that is a report card that every policy public servant has to deal with every at least for the senatorial term and the congressional term, every 2 years. For mayoral term and gubernatorial terms, it's every 4 years.
Okay. Mr. Servino?
Again, it's a decision the people make. That's why they vote you in, vote you out, right? But personally for me, I don't plan on being a career politician. I was recruited in, I was drafted in, and you know, it's again, the calling of the people. But I don't plan to be a career politician. I just want to go in, write some good legislation, start mentoring some of our younger leaders so they can take on that role. And then I can go and retire, you know? But I don't really support a career politician.
I too believe, and here you go again, we're all agreeing. I do believe that it is the will of the people. And to take that away from our voters is something that I'm not willing to do. I think that we should let our voters decide on how long a person should be in the legislature and how long they should not be.
Okay, and this is the final question, so we can start wiping our sweat off, because I see you guys
Yes.
tripping over here. What are you going to do to address crime on Guam and drugs on Guam? So we should start with the police officer. AJ?
My plan is to work closely with the law enforcement, local government, law enforcement, as well as the federal government, the federal side of law enforcement. I would like to see a task force. I would like to introduce legislation that would support a task force, a local task force, where they, you know, we have the criminal justice strike force and we also have the fusion center, but there is a disconnect somewhere in the fusion center where there's information that's not being shared, or they're running short as far as being able to have somebody in their task force. So I would like to make it law to where we actually have a task force where they share information and work on fighting crime.
And Mr. Servino?
You know, I really think the police department needs all the support they can get. We lack the number of police officers. And you know, when you look at the community, I often say, where are all the police officers? They should be out there, even when the traffic lights are out, you know? And I think that we need to increase the number of police officers that we have and educate the community about crime and the consequences of committing crimes. So that's a strategy I'd like to focus on, is education, awareness, and training, provide more training for the police officers, especially in communicating with people with disabilities. If they're deaf, how do you effectively communicate with them? So we need to provide them those supports.
And Tina?
As Oversight Chair of Tourism, we were able to think outside the box and to continue to provide resources from the Tourist Attraction Fund to work closely with law enforcement and help them out and assist them. But for me, it wouldn't even take a lot. We've done it before. We've been very successful. It's called the Neighborhood Watch. You know, it's inviting our families to get involved, our neighbors to get involved, and let's watch and take care of each other. Step up to the plate and make sure that when we see something unusual out there, and we see somebody, you know, sneaking in or going around the back door, says, hey, let's get that Neighborhood Watch back into place.
Okay, beautifully said. I think I got everyone. Now it's time to wrap everything up. You each have 30 seconds for a closing comment, and they all breathe a sigh of relief. Tina, you can go first.
Thank you, Crystal. Si Jules Masi Tatlu, Todo Hamzu, Gahu si Senador Tina Rose Munya Barnes, Tata Chalampago, put for bot Nayo un bota. Consider these two fine gentlemen, but I humbly ask you for one vote this coming election. I'm number 12 on the Democrat side. Si Jules Masi and si Jules on Bini DC Hamza Torres.
Mr. Servino?
My name is Benito Ben Santos Servino, and I'm asking for your vote. I'm number 3 in the ballot. Please go out and register and vote, especially our younger youth. And that's your right. I encourage you to register, and please come out and vote for your candidates that will, again, take this leadership role in helping our community.
Okay, and last but not least?
I'm also asking, humbly asking for your vote, one of your 15 votes. I'm a number 2 on the Republican side. I bring experience I will bring experience to the legislature, and I will not forget who I actually work for. And so I humbly ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and good luck. A quick programming note though, next week's program, next week's D16 will air on Thursday night instead of Wednesday. Thanks again for watching, and remember, your vote is your voice. Save the date, November 8th.
Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&E Life in Motion.